I'm just recording.
Okay.
Parents, please, just a little reminder, if you would like to put your video on, that's absolutely fine. Just do understand that we are recording. There's lots of parents who are unable to make this meeting, so we will be sharing this recording with them. If you want to keep your videos off, then that's absolutely fine as well. Whatever you're comfortable with, so please do that. We are just really excited to have so many of you joining us this morning for this very special meeting about how to prepare your children to year one. And as I was saying earlier, I cannot believe how quickly this year has gone. And I know that towards the middle of the year, we have a change of setting, but you know, fortunately, we've been doing really, really well with our remote and online learning, haven't we, Mrs. Mataki, and trying to make the best these times. So what we'll do is we will share, I'm going to share a PowerPoint very soon. While we're going through the PowerPoint, please stay on mute so that we all are able to listen to the information, and we will have a chance at the end of the meeting for you to ask any questions. So bear with us until we go through all the PowerPoint information, and then there'll be a chance towards the end to ask any questions. So please do ask them. Please do think of any questions and then share them with us for the end of the meeting. So Miss Mataki, shall we share the screen? So let's have a look if I can share the screen.
Let's share
the PowerPoint that we've got for you this morning. Right. Can we see the screen? Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Mrs. Mataki. Right. So everybody, welcome to year one. And I am sure that you are very excited, just as all the teachers are excited in year one, to welcome all your children in year one. And it is that very important year where the children have that important transition from FS to the earliest curriculum to the national curriculum to the Key Stage 1 curriculum, where they start their school officially. And again, it is a little bit of an anxious time, and I know I can understand, you know, we might be nervous and feeling a little bit like, oh, how are our children going to settle? But we can assure you that since we've been here in WEC, we've always had a very successful, smooth transition from FS to year one, and we will work together to make sure that it is very smooth and an effective transition for our and your fantastic children. So please don't worry, and that's the last thing we want you to do, is worry about how they will settle, and we will work together and make sure that they are settled and they feel really, really welcome. Right, I'm gonna share our next page. So of course I haven't got the whole team on here at the moment. It's that time of the year when we have a lot of teachers moving around, and we have some teachers who actually want to move to a different year group. We have some teachers who actually leave and move to a different school. So at the moment, we can't really give you an insight of who and which teachers will be working within year one at the moment, but you will be getting that information very soon, and you'll get confirmation of who your class teacher or your children will be also. And just bear with us on that. It's just making sure that we've got the right people in the right year groups. So my name is Mrs. Ghazali Yasmin. I am the head of year one. And of course, I work alongside with this very special lady, Mrs. Paula Finn. You've probably seen her and heard of her, and she's a remarkable person who is, of course, the primary assistant principal of WEC. And we work, she works very closely with year one, and we make sure that everything is run smoothly and successfully in year one. Right. So to ensure a smooth transition, year one build on all the understanding of the curriculum in the early years to nurture the children's desire for learning. And so we make sure that we allow the subject knowledge to implant itself at the stage through each area of the learning topics and thematic work. So we use lots of really, really fun topics to ensure and to engage all the children over the year, okay, to support their learning. There's lots of opportunities for children to initiate activities themselves. And one of the key things of year one is to allow the children to become independent. And we have various opportunities in year one where they are choosing their activities, they are choosing their learning, and which we feel is crucial, again, to build their confidence and to build that independence. And we also make sure and encourage that children take greater responsibility for their learning. And we know that this makes a bigger impact on the children's knowledge and their understanding. Miss Mataki, do you want to start?
Yeah. Okay, so the children up until now have been working on the early years foundation stage curriculum, or the EYFS curriculum, where this is broken down into two main areas. So you have the prime areas, which are so crucial to children's learning. So it's the communication language, their personal, social and emotional development, and their physical development. And they work like from, and then the specific areas, which are the other four, slots into those. So those prime areas are incredibly important. And your children would have been working on those through their FS, from any of their learning, from if they were in a nursery, before school, FS1, FS2. And the specific areas are your literacy, your maths, your understanding the world, and your expressive arts and design. So these are the areas of learning the children have been working on up until the end of FS2. And that's the early years curriculum. Then the children will move into the national curriculum for England. So these are very similar, but it's more subject, so you will understand probably the subject slightly more than you would the early years curriculum. So our core subjects are English, maths, science and social studies, and we then have our foundation subjects of art and design, computing, design and technology, geography, history, music and physical development. And you'll see that these do link quite well to the early years curriculum. They're just called something slightly different. But they'll still be using all of those skills and then developing those in the national curriculum as they move into year one. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mrs. Mataki. It's taking a little longer to load. Bear with. I'm not sure what has happened.
While you're saying that, I'll just carry on. Shall I carry on talking while you're having a little look at that? What I'd like to say is we're very lucky at WEC that the year one team, current team, has had a lot of experience with the early years curriculum. So Mrs. Yasmin is an experienced early years teacher as well as Key Stage 1 teacher. So we have a really good understanding of where the children are coming from, which helps us when we are obviously moving them forward into the national curriculum.
Thank you so much, Mrs. For some
reason,
I've
got a little advert there.
Right. So I was just going to continue with what Mrs. Mataki was talking about in terms of subjects. And of course, the early years curriculum is very similar to the national curriculum. And in terms of literacy, the children have been learning their sounds, they've been naming the sounds of the alphabet. And of course, in the year one, we continue with their learning of their sounds, making sure that they are speedily sort of recognizing these sounds, and they're able to sort of sequence words to create sort of narratives. We want them to sort of use joining words and clauses like and of course we definitely look at the punctuation, which is of course a key element of when children are writing sentences. We look at capital letters, at full stops, question marks, and also exclamation marks. So when we're learning to read and write, okay, it is really important to sort of teach the children these key elements, and we do it, of course, progressing over the year, and really sort of a way where it's fun and engaging, using a different variety of stories and topics where children are enjoying writing sentences and descriptions. And in terms of maths, of course, in the early years, by FS2, they need to be able to count reliably from numbers from 1 to 20, and also begin to add and subtract 2 single-digit numbers and count on back and forwards to find the answer. And if we move over to the national curriculum, we definitely want the children to be able to count to and across to 100, of course, forwards and backwards. This doesn't mean that they come to us and they're able to count to 100, so please don't worry about that. By the end of year 1, you know, we want the children to be able to understand the numbers between 1 to 100. And also, we sort of start the multiplication that it's the more easier multiples of 2s, 5s and 10s. And we do it again in a fun way, practically, where they can see what counting in 2s, 5s and 10s looks like. And also try and teach hold a number mentally, so they keep the number in their head and they add and they subtract by counting on and backwards, either using fingers and objects. And we also begin to recall some number bonds. I'm sure the children have begun to learn their number bonds 10, which will continue on in year 1, and we'll also introduce number bonds to 20. So that's basically 2 numbers that make 10 and 2 numbers that make 20. Right, let me see if this will, here we go. Mrs. Mataki, do you want to talk about the additional subjects?
Yeah. So as well as all of the subjects that we teach in the classroom, that we've been talking about, we also have an amazing range of other subjects. So we also teach moral education and social studies. And moral education is very much about what is that, just being a good person. And we teach all those skills, all that social, emotional development things that we've been doing from FS, that sort of links into our moral education. And our social studies is all learning about the UAE and where we live here in Dubai. We also do enrichment, and the children get to be involved in a range of activities, from gardening to cooking to mindfulness and yoga. And then all of our other subjects, like our art, our DT, geography, history, we do it under an umbrella of connected curriculum. And we try to do things very topic-based, and we try and link those ideas together, hence the connected. And then we also have our specialist, wonderful specialist teachers, where the children have Arabic, and the children will have Arabic A or B, depending on whether they are native speakers. And children that are Islamic will also have Islamic studies. Again, if they are native Arabic speakers, they're Islamic A, and children that don't speak Arabic as their first language, they will be in Islamic B. The children also take part in music, as well as their PE lessons as well.
Brilliant. I was just going to add those 2 subjects, Mrs. Mataki. They will continue with FS, and we have a fantastic Miss O'Neill, who is just basically based in the corridor, and they'll be able to have one additional music lesson over the week, also with the most amazing Mrs. O'Neill. So over we go to the learning. Now, what we try to do is, especially in the first term, we make sure that all the learning that takes place is play-based learning. Now, this is what, very similarly, this is what happens, sorry, excuse me, where this is going, what and how the children learn in FS. Okay, there's a variety of activities are set out for them in their classrooms, and they are basically exploring and learning through play. And this is what we try and do and create also in the year 1 classrooms. And so you can see that we use a lot of practical objects and a lot of messy play, a lot of role play still continues, because of course it is really important that children are engaged in all these activities in a fun way. And I feel that the most important element that year 1 use is fun. Okay, of course, we all need a lot of fun to make sure that we are engaged more. And of course, we know our kids, especially young kids, they, in order to get all the children engaged, they need the lessons and activities to be fun, hands-on, practical ways of getting all the children engaged and to complete different variety of activities. And especially in the first term, we set up the classroom with lots of fun play-based activities. You know, we might have some counting objects in the sand, and then they might be matching the number digits with the counting that might be happening in the sand. So of course, you've got playing in the sand with the counting and matching activity. So we think of all these practical hands-on activities that are set up around the classroom. We could be having sort of like writing sort of sounds with paint, or in the painting tray where they're creating sounds. And again, they're using the actual national curriculum objectives in a fun way to sort of achieve those objectives. And we also have focused group activities where we basically might be working with a particular group to do a teacher-led activity. And until all the children are able to do these activities independently, we will continue with this routine of the classroom, the way the classroom is set, so that all the children, the goal is for each child to be able to complete reading and writing and maths activities independently. And we find that by the time that it's after the winter break, that the children are slowly moving away from needing other support as such, and they are able to complete these activities, the focused activities, the teacher-led activities independently. And of course, gradually we sort of come away from that support, and by the time it's term 3, we basically encourage and make sure the children are completing all activities independently. So we'll be there to guide them and sort of teach them, do that little bit input on the carpet and show and share them the lesson and what they've got to do. And we expect them to sort of go away and sit at their tables and complete their activities independently. But as you can see from these pictures, definitely the first term, and as many times as however long it takes, we will continue with this based approach until, of course, we've got all the children able to complete all activities independently. And here we've got some chili challenges. Now, in the primary school, you must have heard the word chili challenges with your older children. We use chili challenges to sort of for the children to complete activities. So we start with maybe easier challenge for some children to complete that's maybe a little bit more simple. And these challenges are at different levels. So of course we start with chili 1, and then chili 2 gets slightly a little bit more harder. And then of course you may have a chili 3, which leads on to a fiery chili. But of course it's just a fun way of actually sharing the activities. And the fiery chili is basically really getting that deeper understanding of the activity and the learning objective. And of course the children have to complete a certain amount of chilies before they actually complete the fiery chili to show that deeper understanding. But again, with the chili challenges, we will also be introducing these very slowly and gradually, especially in the first term, so that by the time in term 2, the children will be well familiar of the words chili and challenges, and they will be aware of which chili challenges they need to do and which chili challenges they are comfortable in completing. Right, over we go to a timetable.
Okay, so this is a sort of typical timetable. Obviously, you will get timetables as we start the term next term. But this is a typical year 1 timetable. So you can see that we have in the orange, we have all of the specialist subjects. So the children will be taking part in lessons outside of the classroom. So their Arabic, their music, their PE. They also have swimming. We're very, very lucky to have such amazing facilities here, and our amazing swimming pools. We have phonics every day, so the children are grouped in phonics groups, and we complete Read Write Inc. From Ruth Miskin, which the children would have started in FS2, and we will continue with that. We have maths, we have our connected, we have enrichment slots you can see towards the end of the day there, but again this is likely to change. The children also have an assembly once a week where we all come together and we share different ideas. We might share work, we share work learners of the week, which is a really exciting way of helping to motivate the children when they work hard, and we celebrate that and their successes. And the children also have a library session each week where they're able to go to our amazing library and choose a book to take home to share with you at home. And I think I've covered most things. They have obviously the break time in the morning, the lunchtime, and we also in year 1 have something we call a flexi snack. Now I'm not sure if it depends on the timetable, but we've noticed that this year our lunchtime was quite early, and so for children having to go till 3, it was quite a long time for them to go without something to eat. So we have something we call a flexi snack, where at some point in the afternoon the children are able to have something to eat, just to refuel and keep their brains going with all the hard work that we're completing. And just like in FS, the school day officially starts at 7:45, that's when the register is, but classrooms open from 7:25, and the children are able to come in where they can complete a range of different activities that will be set up by their class teachers, and that's a nice opportunity for us to speak to you if you're there, and to start our day with the children. And then school ends at 3, except for Thursday, when it finishes at 1. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mataki. That was just an example timetable. The teachers, once you've got your class teacher, the teacher in the beginning of the year will be sharing your particular class timetable. I'm just going to briefly talk to you a little bit about dojo system. Now, of course, it's really important to encourage and reward the children. So we have a class dojo app that basically looks a little bit like this. So each child is sort of given a little monster, as you can see over here, with their names. And of course, we've got points and house points, which we give. And it's really important that we give as many house points as we can, with the child being a respectful learner or a responsible learner. And we link these to the wet learner flower. So of course, if someone's being a risk taker, we might give them a house point. Independent inquirer, if they're a team worker, if they're critical thinkers, or reflective learners. And we try to use the same, the wet guardian flower with all these important areas and give them their house points according to them particular areas. And you will definitely be hearing a lot about the dojo. They will be all coming home and telling you that, oh, I had 1 house point, or I've got 2 house points, and I've got this many all together. So over the week, we sort of, towards the end of the week, we then find out who has the most house points, and then we either share certificates or stickers. And it's just basically another way to really encourage all the children to do really, really well and show that high standard. Over we go. Right, Miss Mataki, if you start, and then I will add.
Okay, so getting ready for year 1. So just like they have been in FS, we really encourage independence. We want the children to be independent. It's very important for us, for the children to be independent. So this might mean packing their bags. So we want the children to be responsible for their own belongings. Okay, so it's really important that the children understand where their things are, that they're looking after their equipment, their books and everything. We get a lot of, my mummy didn't pack my book, or my nanny forgot to pack my PE kit. And we try to get the children to say, well, actually it's your responsibility to make sure you have your things prepared for school. So it's really important to try, and you can do that over the summer, help them think about what they might need. If you're going out somewhere, what do we need to take with us? Get them to help you to pack their bags, so they know that what they've got in their bag, and they know that their things are there. When they get to school, we like the children to carry their own bags and put their own bags away in their cubbies. We have like a little routine where they come in the morning, they get their books, their reading books out of their bags, and they go into a box in the classroom, and their water bottles and their lunch boxes. And we want the children to be doing those things themselves. The other thing is about going to the toilet and washing our hands. Now, in year one, we don't have a bathroom in the classroom. The children have to walk to the bathroom independently. And of course, we are there to support the children, but obviously at this stage, we want the children to be able to go to the bathroom on their own and be able to wash their hands independently. And I'm sure they've had lots of practice of that. Okay, we expect the children to be able to tidy up after themselves. If they make the mess, we'd like them to tidy up. So lots of practice of putting their things away. And in the first few weeks, we obviously go through where everything lives in the classroom, and the children are independent in that. So if they want to get something out, they know where to go, and they know where to put it back at the end once they're finished using it. Eating, we want the children to eat independently. Again, they should have been doing this in FS anyway, but we encourage this even more so. The children need to be able to eat what they've been given for their lunch and do this independently. We can't feed them. So, you know, make sure what's in their lunchbox is something that they can access, something that they enjoy and they like. You know, it's always a bit scary starting a new school and not a new school necessarily, a new class and new teachers. And you know, we want them to be able to eat their food and it's something they like. But it's obviously also very healthy because we need that fuel for their brains. Anything else you'd like to add, Mrs. Yasmin?
I was thinking about swimming and PE. So yes. Of course, for PE, the children come into school in their PE kit, so they'll be ready. But of course, for swimming, of course, they'll have to get changed. And I know that you know, they have had some support in FS, and initially they will get that little support in year 1, 2. But again, because it's so important for the children to learn to be independent in getting dressed and changed, we do really encourage for the children to sort of get dressed and change themselves. And of course, as I said, you know, initially in the first couple of weeks, you know, we'll make sure that we're there and to support them. But we really want to sort of move away from that and for the children to independently be able to put their own clothes on and put their own sort of clothes away. We have had many spare vests and spare swimming costumes that children often lose because they haven't been able to put their own things away and they haven't been able to take care of them. And I think this is key to teach the children to be more responsible of their own belongings. We don't want to be in a space where, you know, we're losing a lot of swimming equipment or PE kits or hats. And, you know, I'm a parent myself, and so is Mrs. Mataki. We know how expensive everything is. Mrs. Mataki, it does cost a lot of money. These kids,
yes,
swimming costumes, everything costs a lot of money. And of course, it's really important to put names on. Of course, that's also crucial. Of course, to teach each child to be responsible for their own belongings, that also is very important. So please do in these holidays to get them prepared. You know, are they able to undress themselves? Can they dress themselves? What do they need to remember? And I think the independence is key. It's one of the main ways that you can prepare your children is to teach them to be independent and to teach them about their belongings and what belongs to them and how they need to look after their things. Of course, you know, we have water bottles. You know, they need to be able to look after their water bottles and fill the bottles they can, you know, when they're drink. And just simple things like this and just looking after their own belongings is a very, very key point and a key factor just to encourage and build that confidence in independent, being independent. So just wanted to add that little bit of information. Let me see what else.
And just, you know, make sure everything is labelled. If it moves, label it. A sock, everything, because you'll be surprised that they will be very adamant that something isn't theirs, and it definitely is, or they've lost something, and it's, you know, just make sure they've got their name on it. It makes our, you know, when we go looking for things, it makes things much easier for us as well. So if they do lose something, at least it's got a name and we can find its home. Okay.
Definitely, very important, because of course the uniforms, they all look the same, don't they? Everybody sort of, they've got the same sort of t-shirt and the same sort of jumper, so it's so important to keep a name on there. And if you do lose it, then there's more chances of it being found. Just a little bit of information about reading. Of course, reading is a very important key aspect of learning. Of course, reading is one of the most important skills we teach our children, because of course reading is not just used in English, you also use reading for maths, science, geography, and is used in all the other subjects. And we're really lucky here at WEC. We use the very amazing scheme called Read, Write, Ink, and we are lucky that FS have you already used this scheme, okay, and they are aware of what procedures we use to teach children to learn to read and write. And Read, Write, Ink is one of the fantastic schemes that is a very systematic approach and teaches children to learn to read and write. And we will be continue using the same scheme in year 1, okay, and we have regular assessments to understand which level the children are at, how many sounds they know. We also use the Oxford Reading Tree scheme, and these books are really, really amazing books, which I feel that I'm sure that you have used in FS2. It's basically the family of Flocky and Biff and Chip, those characters that the children love, and we tend to sort of, give books out every week, along with the Read, Write, Ink book, of course. We also share Oxford Reading Tree books that children can read also. You may be familiar with Reggie Red words. Now, these are just basically tricky words that we need an extra sort of practice to spell and read, and we'll also be sending out these special Reggie Red words out to children to practice their spellings and readings. And we've already mentioned library. We have a library session, one library session every week, where the children will also be able to take a library book home also. So it's really important that you are able to take these books, the children are able to take these books at home and then bring them back the following day to practice reading. All right, and then over we go. Mrs. Nash, shall I carry on? I'll carry on.
If you like.
You can help me out for any other information. Now, writing, of course, in terms of reading, over the holidays, if you can get your children to read, it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be on a book. If you're watching a particular TV program and there's a new program coming on, or their favorite movie, what sounds can you see? If you're out and about and you're seeing some sounds, it's a great way of children to understand the sounds and how to put them together, and that really helps children with their reading. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to open a book and read to them or get them to read. Reading can mean when you're out and about, if there's any particular reading or signs or labels or any of that kind of activity, that also plays a big part in really giving your children that confidence to read. And of course, writing comes hand in hand with the reading. And in order for our writing to be beautiful and that children are holding the pencil correctly, it's so important to do lots of fine motor activities. It could be simple things like building Lego, small pieces, putting small pieces together and using those fingers and those hand muscles. The reading is one of a great activity that really encourages children to use their hands in different ways and really sort of think carefully and look carefully where and how they can thread beads together. And again, it's a fun way of really strengthening those muscles. And of course, we've got cooking over here, mixing, that really has an effect on the fine and the gross motor skills. Painting, any activities done with the hands is going to have an impact on your children's writing, okay? And
Play-Doh is another great one.
Play-Doh, definitely. We use a lot of Play-Doh in year 1, and even by just pushing and pulling the Play-Doh together, and what the children are doing is they are really strengthening those hand muscles, because sometimes you will see that when sometimes some children are holding their pencil, they might be holding it correctly, not putting too much pressure on there, and that pressure will come once the hand muscles are strengthened. Okay, so it's really important over the holidays if you can do these amazing fine motor activities, okay, to encourage them, the children, to use their hands as much as possible, okay, and any kind of mark making, you know, name writing. Oh, okay, can you help me write the shopping list for today? Or can you help me write this birthday card? And remember, writing, we want it to be fun, so they can write. If you just put some paper and pen or chalk or paint, and as long as the children are mark making or writing of some sort, and that really, really does help with overall encouraging children to actually to do some writing. So these all are very important activities, again, to help your children with their writing. Anything else we can add to that, Mrs. Nataki?
Yeah, just lots of movement, even if it's big movement, little movement. Washing windows, that also helps strengthen. Another nice one, if you haven't got a lot of space and you don't want to make a lot of mess, is a pot of water and a paintbrush, and the children can go out on the balcony or in the garden, and then the water dries and there's nothing there, but they can do mark making with that. But yeah, I think strengthening that hand is so important. So lots of small buttons, like you said, threading, lots of that kind of strengthening the hand, because if they haven't got that strength in the hand, they can't put pencil to paper. So that's really important.
Definitely some great ideas. And I just want to add a little thing about the pencil, holding of the pencil. Now, it is really important that right from day one, we encourage the correct pencil hold. I'm trying to see if I've got a pencil here. So of course, you get some children who hold a pencil like this, or they might hold a pencil not from the correct position. So we use the word tripod position. So it's basically using the 3 fingers and the thumb, and they need to be able to hold the pencil in a comfortable position that they are comfortable in. And if right from day one they are holding the pencil in this position, this will help them, because of course if you have children who are holding the pencil incorrectly and positioning incorrectly, it's really hard to let go of that habit. It becomes a habit. So please do encourage the correct pencil hold, and at this time it would be better to use thicker pencils, and that really encourages and it's easier for the children to sort of, use the correct pencil hold. So that might be a good idea also. Okay, so let's move on. So of course, in order for the children to help with their maths, Miss Mitaki, I'll let you talk about the maths.
Okay, so obviously maths is everywhere. It's everywhere around us, and I think as parents it's quite an easy one for us to do, because you can do this anywhere. So on the screen it says shape hunt, number hunt. So in your house you have so many things that are of different shapes. They might be 2D shapes, they could be 3D shapes. So just when you're just doing anything, just talk about shape. What shape is the door? Let's go on a shape hunt. Let's find rectangles, let's find triangles, and you can go around your house. You could do this just at home. Number hunts, obviously, again, there are numbers everywhere. When you're in the car, people have numbers on their number plates, so you can talk about number plates. What number's that? Help with counting. So if you're shopping or whatever you're doing, try to use the language of counting. You can count your stairs as you go up to bed. You can count how many oranges you need. Just counting everything. That's really good, and that one-to-one correspondence, so understanding that is one item is one count. Lots of singing, counting games, counting songs. Looking at the time, the clock. It's never too young to start talking about time. So saying that things are, oh, we're going here at 1 o'clock or there at 2 o'clock. Start to get them familiar about the time. So understanding that, the times of day when we need to do certain things, and use that language, because that's so important, is the language of time. Not if they don't know how to tell the time, that's okay. We don't expect them to know that at this moment, but having that language is going to really help. So understanding, clock, 2 minutes, you can use a timer when you're cooking. All that kind of thing is experience of time. looking at number lines and number squares for those bigger numbers, to start to think about going over that 20 if your child's ready, and experiencing those bigger numbers and understanding how the numbers go from smaller to bigger. And then just using like everyday life for addition and subtraction. So like it says on the screen, if there's 4 of us in the car and daddy gets out, how many are left now? So you can do that all the time with anything. You might be eating some broccoli. Oh, you've got 5 bits of broccoli. Can you count your broccoli? Fantastic. And then they eat one. Oh, you've eaten 1 piece of broccoli. How many do you have now? So it's just using that real life, those real life situations to try and draw out some learning. But all of those things are going to help. So practice the counting, recognizing the numbers, ordering numbers, anything like that. But it doesn't have to be sat down at a table like a lesson. Just try to put it into your everyday life. Anything to add there, Mrs. Jasmine?
I was just going to say something about the representation of numbers. I feel like we have children coming into year 1 and they're able to count to 100 and even more. Yeah. But the understanding of what a number is sometimes can be a little bit tricky. So do make sure that you sort of like do activities like, can you show me, can you go and get me 1 banana? Okay, so they know what 1 looks like. Now, can you go and get me 1 pencil? Okay, so they can recognize the 1 number, but they know that 1 looks like this. It's 1 banana. Can you show me 1 on your finger? You've got 1 finger. So of course, similar with 2 and 3. I think it's important to represent numbers in different and variety of ways. Sometimes we get children and when we say to them, show us 2 fingers, and they might do this. And if we say, well, isn't this 2? And there's some of them will say no. Of course, it's just that deepening, the understanding that we can show a number in a variety of ways. It doesn't have to be these 2 or these 2. It can be this as well, and it can be just 2 like this. So again, I think it's a fun way of just showing and representing numbers. And again, it doesn't have to be, okay, sit down and we're going to do this math lesson. It's more about practical, fun ways of using your day-to-day life activities, whether you're shopping, whether you're eating, and use math within the same sort of like your daily routine, and that just makes it more fun. Yeah. Right, let's go to communication. Now, remember, we are going to be having another meeting regarding year 1 and the ins and outs of the other information regarding year 1 when we start the year in September, where you'll be able to see and meet the whole of the year 1 team, the whole of the year 1, so the other teachers too, and we will be sort of saying a lot more information about the routine of year 1 and activities in a lot more detail. And this is just basically a brief sort of information about communication. Of course, we are really lucky that we have the program called Padlet. And the Padlet is basically where we put all the key information. You'll find the newsletters, home learning menu. We put the spelling tests out on the Padlet, and any other key information will go on the Padlet, but you don't need to worry about the Padlet for now. What we are going to be what I will share to you now is that we will be sharing some summer home learning, which we will pass on to the FS2 teachers, and of course we will devise some lessons and activities for the children to complete over the summer holidays that will help and prepare them for when they come to the one. So please do try to complete some activities. We promise they will be fun. Okay, fun activities, and we will be talking to you more about a sort of a normal, typical day of year 1, but that will be happening in our other meeting. This meeting is just basically how you can help your children, for how to help them to have that better and smooth transition to year 1. One final thing I just want to say was that we are really lucky here in year 1. This year has been such a successful year, hasn't it, Mrs. Nataki? It's like a family for us, and we understand the children are young. They still need a lot of care. They need that nurturing, and it's really important that all the year 1 teachers are there and they are approachable. and we always come down to their level, okay, because they're still little. We always going to go down to their level. We always, I think the morning greeting is so important. Always have that smile on our faces, and just to greet them and just to comfort them, especially in that first term. It is so important to build and establish those relationships, and we do a lot to make the children feel comfortable. Of course, it is such a crucial time. It's some children settle quicker, others need a little bit more time, but we give them that time, okay? We want to make sure that they are ready, and once they are ready, you know, they'll be able to, you know, they'll be able to communicate more confidently, and we just want to sort of say that, you know, we are here for you, we are here for the children, and we will work together to make sure that this transition from FS to year one is a smooth and a successful transition, and it has been in the past, and I don't see why it can't be this year also. So that's enough of me and Mrs. Mintaki talking. I'm sorry that you've had to listen, go on and on and on, but it is, we do want to ask if there's any questions you've got for FS or year one, then please feel free now if you've got any questions.
Right, there's been a question, Mrs. Jasmine, in the chat already.
Okay, because I can't see the chat. Ms. Mataki, do you want to read out the question?
Yeah, so it says, will students have the same class as they now have in FS2?
Okay, so at the moment, I think this is a requirement that most of the parents have actually asked, and they've really, because of how the year has ended, and of course the unfortunate episode of having to sort of teach and learn from home, and we have had many parents requested this, and at the moment, as far as we are concerned, we're going to try to make sure that the classes stay the same. There are certain classes, maybe there's certain children who might have chosen to go to a different class, or there might be some other factors that might be affecting the class to stay the same. So at the moment, the classes are still being created, and as far as I know, the children will be kept in the same classes unless it's being requested for otherwise. So I think you will be getting more information about the classes hopefully very, very soon.
The other thing is, depends on the number of classes, doesn't it, Mrs. Jasmine? So yes. if you know there's 3 classes in FS2, if there needs to be more classes or less classes, that might change, but you know, otherwise hopefully it will work itself out. Definitely. Are there any other questions that anyone would like to ask? You can pop it in the chat.
You can put it in the chat if you want, or if you want to unmute them.
Yeah, at the bottom there's like a little chat box, or you can just speak to us. We're very
hello?
friendly. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Hi. This is Rida. I'm experienced with this 1A. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's great and informative. Just have one question. So, regarding the current situation with learning, has the plan for been defined? Should it be distance learning or get back to school or mix?
So I think it was a little bit unclear line there, Reda, but thank you so much for your question. I think as far as I know, you want to know about how and when the school will start in September in the new academic year. At the moment, to be honest, we are very much in line with what's happening in the country, and we are still awaiting for that final decision, and no decision has been made nationally in the country, to be honest, that what the schools are going to look like in the new academic year. At the moment, there hasn't been a decision made, and once a decision has been made, the schools will definitely be getting in touch with all the parents and letting you know in terms of the starting process and the procedure. It is one of those things, isn't it? It's the unknown at the moment. At the moment, thankfully, things are looking better, they're improving. And the Ministry of Education has not also made a final decision of what the school will look like in terms of, how will the children be going to school, or will it still be online learning? It's all still up in the air, and at the moment, we just have to have that little bit more patience, and hopefully very, very soon, there will be a decision made, and all of this communication will be sent out to you all, and hopefully we'll have that better understanding hopefully in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
the school's working incredibly hard on a range of different scenarios, I think, just to be as prepared as possible. So I think once that we have that guidance and we know what it will look like, then we can give more information. But at the moment, we're still unsure. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita, for your question.
We've had another one about sharing the presentation. I believe this will be sent out, Mrs. Yasmin?
Yes, I remember to record, and I think we will be saving this, and it will be sent out to all the FS parents, but you will have a place where you'll be able to find the presentation, so please don't worry about that.
Are there any other questions? Well, then I think we can probably wrap it up, Mrs. Yasmin.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing over here. Thank you so much. From me and Mrs. Nataki, we are delighted that you were able to join us this morning. We hope that we've answered your questions or any queries. I want to leave you by saying, please try not to worry about this transition. We are all very friendly in year one, are we, Mrs. Nataki? And we are all just so excited to be working with your children, to be there for you and for your children, and we'll make sure that we work together to have another successful year. And from me and Mrs. Mataki, hope you have a wonderful summer, stay safe, and hope to see you very soon. So take care and goodbye.
Bye everyone, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.